Hey Crosscart fans, sorry I haven't posted in a while. It is winter break, so I've been taking my wife and daughter on fun adventures, lots of ice skating, Lake Placid, fun upstate New York stuff. So I am monitoring and replying to all the comments, and my build group on Facebook is going strong. There's several people building. Not everybody's a member, but something that keeps coming up is dimensions. So I want to take a minute to just tell you about why my plans do not have dimensions. We are using hand tools. We're using hand benders. We're using paper wrappers for notching. Our bends aren't going to come out perfect. Our notches aren't going to come out perfect. They may be very close to perfect, but they're not going to be perfect. My design is built around that. I learned a lot building my first one, and I learned what's important. If you try to stick to the dimensions of a plan, you are going to struggle. A half an inch or a half a degree off of a bend is going to cause problems if you don't design around those variations. So to give you an example, if my plans included the measurement between these two bars being 10.5 inches, you would be focused on making these two 10.5 inches. And you would completely dismiss the fact that this needs to fit tightly between the floor and the windshield. These joints fitting tightly is way more important. The cross members handle the strength. So if when you build this bend ends up a degree off or a half a degree off, or your notches are rotated a degree or two off, this isn't going to fit in here exactly by the dimensions. They're going to fit by the plans, but they won't fit by the dimensions. So if this is a half an inch aft or a half an inch forward, this is still going to be strong, and your cross member may sit an 1/8 of an inch or a 1/16 of an inch differently, but it's still going to square this whole assembly. Your roof, I purposely put this joint right here on this radius so that if this bend is a little off, you're still going to square it to the back. It's still going to keep this shape, but it's going to fit snugly against this piece here, making this strong. Now, it may not fit the dimension. I bet if I took this and measured it out and compared it to the CAD, this would be a 1/16 or an 1/8 off, or a degree or 2 degrees off in some areas. It wasn't meant to be built to a factory specification, because we're not building this in a factory, we're building it in a garage. So my intentions when doing this was make this build strong and safe, because that's #1 priority. Not to give dimensions to the nearest 16 inch, because that is going to mess up your build. All of the dimensions you need to make this strong are in this jig. This jig is made out of 1.5 inch square tubing because it's easy to cut, it's easy to square it up, it's easy to shove a magnet on it to make sure that it's completely vertical. It's easy to cut an exact length to the nearest 32nd to make the structures square. And that's what you want. You want everything square. So, for example, this has a specific measurement. The front piece has a specific measurement. If you put the front windshield in here, the dimension for the angle, the dimension for the height of the front is done. Now, the main roll bar, the height built in. The main floor, the dimensions are right there. The rear uprights, the dimensions are right there. If you make the main pieces that fit into this jig per the measurements of the jig, everything will be square. Pull it out of the jig, put the cross members in. It will have this look. Your joints will fit tightly, and your cross members will make everything strong, solid, and square, which is everything you want in a build. It felt like it would be a disservice to give you the dimensions because I know how hard it is to try to get something to fit to the nearest 1/16 of an inch. You end up over notching a piece, over bending a piece. You're either going to rebuild it 100 times or you're going to fit it in place where it makes sense to square everything up. So these were built, they were designed, the plans were made with builders in mind. Those builders including myself. I wanted to have an easy build, something that I could replicate, have a jig for, spend a couple days making a chassis, and then start on my next buggy. And so far it's worked out really well. It literally only takes a day, maybe 2 days. Bending, notching, trimming your ends, and tacking it together is literally a weekend job to make this chassis. And it's because I didn't stick to the dimensions. I stick to making everything tight. I know I've said that way too many times already. So I'll get back to work next week. I'll finish up the dash, get that video posted, got to mount the gas tank and the radiator, and this is almost ready for paint. We're almost done with this. Let me know if you have any questions. I obviously love talking about this stuff. I love answering questions about it. Every question you ask gives me new perspective on how to make this better for anybody else that might have the same question. The dimensions one was a big one that was popping up, so I wanted to answer that to a lot of people instead of just the people that were asking. I figured that one comment represents 100 people or more. So I hope this helps. Let me know if it does. Let me know if you want anything else. Check out the Facebook group, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.